now that the Activision Blizzard and Microsoft deal has officially gone through, it looks like market analysts are saying that Sony is definitely going to have to move towards more acquisitions in the near future. Essentially, they are stating that Sony should be feeling the sting right now from this combination, especially considering one of the big things that gave Sony its edge back with the PS4 versus Xbox One was when it acquired the contract with Call of Duty in order to get the map packs and DLC early for PlayStation, where previously Xbox was the one that had it. Once they acquired that, it seemingly did shift the market quite a bit and caused there to be an even larger increase in the amount of PlayStations purchased. Now, however, the creator of Call of Duty entirely is owned by their competitor Microsoft. Although it looks like most people are theorizing that Microsoft will allow for Activision Blizzard to kind of maintain its own autonomy because of how large it is and how many, teams they have under them already. And then it basically allows there to be 3 independent game-making arms, that being ZeniMax Studios for the whole app and phone/mobile side of gaming. You have Activision Blizzard for their standard, market-making games such as Call of Duty and whatnot, as well as things like Diablo or World of Warcraft. And then on top of that, they just have the Xbox Game Studios, which is predominantly where we get to see all of the Xbox Game Pass games funded and whatnot. One of the biggest game-changing things would be if they bring Call of Duty day one in the future to Xbox Game Pass, although I'm imagining that won't happen. At the very least, it won't happen right away. For the most part, Microsoft agreed to maintain the current way that the company makes money, and they weren't going to significantly try to change Activision Blizzard out the gate because that could try to shift the market too much in their favor. Although usually it looks like what the government has said is as long as it is favorable to consumers, then they likely will be able to do it. So I could totally see them starting to slowly add the various Call of Duties to Game Pass, from a couple years ago, like Call of Duty Vanguard and all that, and then they'll slowly work their way up to having the new ones on there. I would also love to see something like Diablo come to Game Pass, or at least allow for these games to have a certain level of demo where you can go in and you can try them out and play them for a few hours, and then if you like them, you can maybe pay for, access to it. But overall, allowing gamers to kind of try to sink their teeth into these games a little bit might really widen the pool of players that they have for these games. I, for one, would have definitely given Diablo 4 a shot had it not been a full price game. It's when I look at purchasing games for myself, I usually look over at Game Pass and see, hey, what do we have over on Game Pass? What can I play there? Because for the most part, I don't really have a ton of money to sink into brand new games. And when I do sink money into a new game, I want it to be something that I'm fairly certain I'm going to enjoy and that I'm going to play a lot, because I don't want to sit there and waste like $60 or $70 on something that I might only touch once. And that's like one of the biggest things with Game Pass, like especially, even EA does this through Game Pass, where they'll allow for a certain number of hours or a certain portion of a game to be played, and that really is a good way to get gamers into a game, so that way they can give it a shot and can overall help people not blow money on something that they might not necessarily play. But overall, I'm definitely curious to see what the Sony response will be going forward. This does put them in a rough position because they have said many a times that they are not in a position to be able to put out their first party titles day one on something like PlayStation Network or PlayStation Plus. And at the end of the day, the reason that is because they just don't make enough money on the back end from other aspects, whether it be merchandising, etc. Microsoft has so many different aspects of its overall conglomerate, whether it be its software division, whether it be the gaming side of things, whether it be the entertainment side of things. There's all sorts of ways that Microsoft has in order to bring in funds and kind of make up for some of the money that they're burning on Game Pass. And on top of that, Game Pass is definitely something that once they have a bunch of titles under their belt, it starts to become more and more of a value proposition, allowing for them to potentially increase the Game Pass cost while still providing a significant value comparatively. And seeing that Sony has just really been very slow to try to make any meaningful changes in their market and overall has not really been responding in the best of ways, this could really mean some serious trouble for Sony going forward. What do you guys think, though? Do you think that this is going to be big for, Microsoft? Do you think that this will kind of switch the market in some ways? What do you think they're going to do in regards to Game Pass? Do you think that they'll start rolling out newer games from Activision Blizzard to Game Pass, or do you think that they're kind of going to hold off on that for a while? Especially considering they just spent like $70 billion or something on them, I can totally see why they, might not want to start just throwing the games out on Game Pass right away. But what do you think Sony's going to do as well? Do you think we're going to see them try to make some large acquisitions here soon? Do you think that we're gonna see them try to move over to releasing games day one over onto a network service? Let me know all of your thoughts down below. On top of that, you can follow us here for more game news and reviews. You can follow us on Smokin Sessions for movie news and reviews. You can follow us on Smokin Sessions for movie news and reviews, movie sessions for trailer content, and we have the Try Podcast channel for our podcast, and we have a Discord link below that you guys can join to talk with us about movies and video games. All right, guys, I will see you all in the next one.
The walls in my head, yeah, they start to collapse. Hoping the highest is one I can grasp. Liking the memories, like looking back. Seeing the visuals fade like a nap. Re-enter the atmosphere, hope I don't crash. Re-enter the one that I'm living in. Re-enter the space that within I live. I just hope I remember this feeling. Loving the living and killing the demons.